Hi there, from Rosie Posey of Art Journal Project. I'm finally going to film a quick flip through of my composition art journal. This art journal was started in 2023. It is a composition notebook that I bought at Target. It is a Mead, and I'm halfway through it, I would say. This is something I bought a few years ago during back to school. I really did like this one a lot. It's by, I don't know if there was any artist who made this one, but I do like this one. Anyways, so I named this one Random Life Chaos because of what I was going through at the time. In 2023, my dad was really sick and I was his main caregiver. Of course, the whole family helped, and I was living with him for the majority of that time and moved out during that time as well. And then he passed away at the end of 2023. So everything kind of happened pretty quickly. So Random Life Chaos would be a good title for this journal. It deals a lot with grief and working through it, a lot of stress, but then also it deals with recovering from that and working through the grief. So I really do appreciate this art journal a lot. I know that my channel will have a lot to do with creative paper arts, if you will, bookbinding, art journaling, junk journaling, anything like that. But I'm going to kind of do all kinds of things, and this one today will be a quick flip through of this book. So the very start of this book, when you open it up, there's a photo of me. I covered it up with this patch I had bought years ago on the internet. It's an embroidered patch that has my name, Rosie. I do love to use these pockets that I find at Daiso. These are fun pockets. They're self-adhesive and you can place them in any of your books. As you can see, I put a label here that says The Healing Era, and I used a brush pen to write that. I just added a fun little postcard and some stickers, and then there's a prayer card of my dad from his funeral. This is a page, this was really cool. Years ago I bought these Jimi Hendrix Forever stamps. I don't know what year that was, but this was the back side of the postage stamps. And so it was self-adhesive. I thought that was cool. So once I used all the stamps, I saved this, and this is going to be in the front cover. I love using the pink fluorescent tape, the artist tape as well. So you'll see that a lot throughout my book. So I decided, and you know, I'll go back and forth a lot in this book and take things out, paint over it. I will also, you know, add things as time goes on, but I don't start a page, finish it, and then be done with it. Sometimes I'll go back to a page and continue working on it. This one, of course, I felt that was very experimental, intuitive, and evolutionary. So those are some words I felt would be good for this book. The very first page, again, I want to just tell you that I add things from the past. This photo of fresh honey from a local farmer's market is many, many years old. Sometimes I'll just go through my stash and feel attached to something, and I'll say, okay, that's going on this page. I can't tell you how I start a page or what inspires it, but I do try to work page to page, and I don't give myself a time limit. At first, I started by saying, oh, I want this to be done in 2023, but then I decided that is not going to help me, you know, grieve, and it's not going to help me heal. So I just took my time with this book. This is something that I do a lot of. I do a lot of doodles randomly, and I'll draw something with a Pigma Micron, a Sakura Micron, and I might toss it to the side for days or weeks or months, and then I'll come back to my little stash of drawings, and then I'll color them in. So this was a quick little sketch of some it was a tie-dye powder that I was testing, and I just drew a quick picture of it. I like to draw on paper that's not white, so this is something that I just attached in here. I probably used Tombow adhesive to attach it, probably not a glue stick, and then again I just add tape wherever. I'll write random words when I'm working. I keep a notebook by my desk, and while I'm working or on a phone call or in a meeting, because I work remotely from home, I'll just write words, and I'll throw it in my little bin and come back to it later. And it's another way for me to just, you know, get out the stress of the day. Sometimes I'm feeling very ADD during a work day, and it's a good way for me to just stay busy with my hands. This page here, Blame It on the Moon. I think this page was probably from a magazine, something that I just felt inspired to use. Just glued that in. It looks like I watercolored the background, did some quick brush doodling. This is a little, some little poppies that I glued on, and just some other little random washi tapes and such. Okay, so this page was one of the first ones that I worked on. Has a lot going on, and there's some things I've already taken out of it once I added it. And again, I'm all over the place when it comes to art journaling, but I think again that's part of therapy, your own personal therapy, your own personal healing. So this was a day that I went to go see Esther Bosch. She was a Holocaust survivor, and I'll read a couple of things that I have on here. On September 6, 2023, I participated in a lecture by Esther Bosch, an Auschwitz Holocaust survivor. It's unreal to hear a true account from a 95-year-old woman. She was a sweet honey girl. And I'll get to why she was called the honey girl unless you've heard the story before. To be humbled is an understatement. To be in the presence of this unforgettable survivor. I love the honey girl, Esther Bosch. So the honey girl, oh, and then also she always said, don't be, you have to be an upstander. You have to stand up and you have to, you know, take a stand for what you believe is right. And that really does hold true to the way things are today as well. This right here where it says reset your nervous system, high alert. Again, this was another little random item that I drew who knows when, and I'll go through my bin and I'll pick something out and then I'll add some color to it. Resetting your nervous system is something that I had to do a lot of in the past few years because it was always on high alert from what my therapist said. I was always sleeping with one foot on the ground, waiting for the next shoe to drop, waiting for the next emergency. And so that was something that I just thought I would throw in there. Inhale, exhale, another doodle. I don't like this blue. I think I'm going to paint over it with some gouache soon. And this is sticky because I took some stickers off of there recently. I don't know what they were. Again, just a little rubber stamp. And then we called Esther Bosch the honey girl, she said, because when she was finally released from Auschwitz, they did the march. And when they finally got to the first town where they could find food in a store, they said, go in and get anything that you wanted. She said that she went in and she found a jar of honey and she drank the whole thing and then she got really, really sick. So they called her the honey girl because she ate so much honey. After we went to this, the group of people that I went with, we went to Dairy Queen and we got a blizzard. So that's why I wrote the original blizzard only at DQ. So that's that page. Again, I have a lot of memories of this night, and what's really cool is when you document just a little bit, you can remember a lot. So it does help to trigger your memory by things that you art journal about. This page, Harkins, is the local theater chain that we have here in Arizona. It's also in California, I believe. And this is kind of all over the place. Again, I threw in some old vintage book page. I just put today, paralyzed with boredom and uncertain goals, blah. This is an old photo of my paint box. Right here it says, a heart without dreams. I wrote the word heart, chingona, feed your soul. And this under here, you can tell there's something under there. I wrote here, I was excited to see this flick. I went to Camel View with Lisa and Adrian. It was kind of a sleeper. As always, though, I'll take any reason to go to the movies. John Corbett. So under here is the second movie or the third movie of My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Anyways, I didn't like how I did that, so I just covered it up. Again, you can cover up anything you want. This is a image transfer or something. I don't know what I did of a photo I took in New York and a sticker, a transparent sticker. This right here says condense that cash because I do like to do cash budgeting. So that was a sticker I created. Again, a random page, but it just helped me as I needed to work through whatever I needed to work through. I did start it, and I do stamp these. I use a date stamp, and I'll stamp when I started, so September 8th, and I ended on September 14th. So that just tells me how long it took me to feel like I completed a page and to be happy with it. And sometimes it was the date that I felt I was done with whatever I was dealing with. Now talk about all over the place. This one's very, very, very chaotic, hence the words random life chaos. But it was fun. This main page, or this main photo right here is from some graffiti in New York City. And I printed it on my inkjet printer and then cut it out. I just thought it was pretty cool. Right here it says, I can't speak Somali. And you might wonder, well, why did I put that? It's because I work as in case management in the medical field, and we have a lot of people who don't speak English. I can't speak Somali, and it says help, and that even though we have language interpreters, it always breaks my heart that I feel that things are sometimes lost in translation. So that always breaks my heart when I feel that somebody may not actually be getting the correct information. No matter how well this language interpreter is doing, you might not be able to translate everything in the way that it should be. So that always is hard. As time passes, I've never in my life looked more forward to the weekends. That was so true during that time. Again, this started on September 15th. Sacred art. This was a fun little doodle I did. A sacred heart. That's probably my favorite iconic personal symbol is a sacred heart. It was my grandma's birthday. This is funny. Kind of gross, but funny. Right here, this says, apparently I'd much rather attend to my blackheads than work. And there was a lot. So I drew a silly little doodle of my nose and blackheads because I think it was during a meeting. And I might have been just looking in a mirror and using a tool to get my blackheads out. I know that sounds gross, but hey, you know, where else could I come up with that kind of content? What is a secret? I don't know why I wrote that or drew that. The word shh. Thank God it's Friday. Michael Landon, the original hottie, because apparently I was watching a lot of Little House on the Prairie. I love doing swatching, so this is obviously Tombow swatching. I was reading a new book. It was called something about empaths. I don't remember the name of it, but I wrote some information down from the book I was reading. Emotional equilibrium. Can sense danger. Too much of an empath can create heightened senses. You have great suffering. You're a perfectionist. Emotional exhaustion. The Heyoka empath. You're brutally honest. You are prone to depression, anger, sadness. You are creative and artistic and easily drained. I'm a caregiver. I'm a nurse. I took care of both of my parents during their last years here on Earth, along with my family. But I also lived with them and was the oldest daughter. So yeah, I would say that it really took its toll on my mental health. I would never change it for the world, but it was hard. They're both gone now, and I've healed, or I am continually healing. Again, another chaotic page. I think this page was all done in one day. This one here started on the next day, and it was Mexican Independence Day, and I am a Latina. So I had fun creating this. I don't think I'll go through all of this, but she gained her life through her jewels. This is something I created a long time ago, and I had made lots of copies of this. I like to take my art, scan it, and then, you know, make a lot of copies of it. Larger, smaller, teeny tiny, big pages. And then I'll use them again later in my art. There's Selena. I wrote the word static electricity. I don't know why. I made some stickers. This right here is Mexican hot chocolate, the Abuelita chocolate. Viva Mexico, Saturday, Mexican Independence Day. It's a slow Saturday, just the way I like it. It was also my nephew's birthday. We went out to Oregon Stop Pizza. This is another art piece that I did, and I scanned and copied. This was actually a very large art piece, so this is teeny tiny, like a little baseball card size. Let your soul and spirit fly. Right here I wrote Blue Bayou, and that's funny, I know exactly why I wrote that. I had a dream of Linda Ronstadt singing Blue Bayou, but I also have a best friend who passed away who was a singer, and I think she also was singing this to me in my dream, so I had to wake up and write that. Some words that I love: replenish, renew, recharge, rebirth, regenerate. Happy birthday, Dominic. I drew a little pretty flower. Hay unos ojos, one of my favorite songs by Linda Ronstadt. Well, not by her, but that she sings. Tu solo tu, another song that she sings as well. And some Dia de los Muertos images. Tell your truth. So I kind of go a little chaotic in some of these pages. Again, this is me working out what's in my brain. So that was my brain, chaotic. That was all finished in one day as well. So I also decided, I think during this time, that I wanted to start doing more doodles and less of other ephemera. Like, I didn't want to put too many photos in here of things. I am going to block this photo real quick. And so here it says, just take the stairs. And because I can either take an elevator or the stairs when I am at work. And so I decided, just take the stairs. The curse versus the blessing, I don't know what that's about. Sometimes just getting by is about all we can do. And that's how I felt at the moment. Transforming, that's how I was feeling. Orange, you glad to see me? That is a picture, a little doodle of an orange and some writing. Practice the sketch, and that's what I'm talking about. I decided I wanted to start sketching objects. So this is the AHA drink. That was fun just to make, and I just use a black micron. Sometimes I'll start with pencil, but otherwise I just go for it. Practice the sketch with 3D effects, not flat. Empaths, they first feel, empaths feel things first and then they think. So we don't think first, we feel first. Sometimes she's messy, sometimes she's neat. So that's that page. Again, just more, it looks like I was concentrating a lot on doodles and writing and little sketches. And that started on September 17th and ended September 24th. So that was about a week's worth of opening this page. Guilt is a wasted emotion. So this was something I had done years ago. And again, I keep a bin full of things that I've drawn or doodled, and I'll come back, and if I feel that it's, you know, a good day to use it, then I'll use it. I had also wrote a little plan of the week. So September 17th through the 23rd. On Monday, I had unrealistic expectations. On Tuesday, champagne tastes on a beer budget. Obviously, I might have spent some money. I didn't really add too much on these days. Friday, we went all out. It was Twilight Night. My daughter hosted Twilight Night at her apartment. That was fun. Day spent well at home, much needed, and it was a lovely September. Just some random photos. Just say yes. I think I was starting to want to say yes more instead of no to doing things, and I was still, you know, working through this. My dad was still alive at this time. He would be passing in a couple more months, but it was a hard time because obviously he was getting more and more close to his time. So I wanted to just say yes and stop saying no to things, but you know, it was getting hard. Right here, New York, a 36-hour getaway. This was actually a photo I had taken in 2014. So that was almost 10 years from the day that I put this, that I added it in here. But it's one of my favorite photos that I've ever done. And actually this is a image transfer I used with a chemical called xylene. So that was fun. And I said it's almost time again because I was planning on going to New York again at the end of that year. And then of course Frida Kahlo, my artistic muse. Make a life you love, happy vibes only. I added a picture of her. I drew some mushrooms. Frida loved New York City. Okay. Next page. I want to solve a cold case. I think I was obviously watching some kind of murder mystery or something. And I had this little blue index card and I threw some gouache on it and then I wrote on it with a pen and there we go. Put it in my bin and decided to use it. Most likely my new addiction, which was a Lamy fountain pen. And I just did a doodle of that. I think I'm going to zoom in a little bit. There we go. And then a Sacred Heart. I love to draw them and doodle them. This right here I wrote, she grew with the sun even in the cold of winter. Quoted, this is a little bird I drew. I was very proud of this bird. I think I was following some kind of tutorial online. But I scanned this and then I printed it out a lot of times so you could see that again on another one of my pages. And then this is funny. When I was in New York one time, I don't even know when, obviously it was June 3rd, 2023, so many, many months before this, I found this little random page on the ground. It says stoop sale. Somebody made this cute little drawing for their sale they were having on their stoop on Lincoln between Bedford and Rogers. Rainy date. Sunday, June 4th. Otherwise, it was going to be on June 3rd. So I loved it. I love collecting things in New York off the street. I know it sounds kind of gross, but it's a lot of fun. And then I just made these little blobs. Let's see. We started this on October 5th. I don't have an end date as to when I did that or finished this one. Okay, so this, let's see. Where are we going with this? I think I had been going to the doctor because I was having some pain in my back and had some kind of diagnosis, which I don't think it was at all. Here I wrote disparities due to social determinants of health. Unfortunate. Again, as a case manager, I work a lot with social determinants of health that can, they're barriers to your health care, and we have to try to eliminate these social determinants of health. Very, very challenging, very unfortunate. And I could go on and on and on about it, but we will stop there. I cut out some pages from a book and it says, but even so far away and so high, she could see danger. Obviously, I was feeling stressed out. The wonder of it all. This actually was on a little post-it note, a little grid post-it note. So I do a lot of, a lot of these. These are all separate little pages that I've doodled on or written on. It's usually during meetings or sometime, and then I keep them in my bin and I just add them all in. So silent home, feeling utter peace in my soul. Obviously during this time, and I remember telling my friends this, I just needed to be alone. When I wasn't working, I just needed to feel peace. I just couldn't handle much more in my head. Blueberry preserves, 12 ounces. I think I bought a jar of that. I went to the eye doctor and I just wrote the word blah right there because I cannot see. I feel so blind. The startle effect. This is funny because I was feeling you could come up behind me and scare the living daylights out of me. I mean, I get so startled so easily now, so I just thought it was funny to just jot that down to remember that. My favorite brush marker paint brush pen. It's this, oh, let's see if I have one here. It is this, whoops, it's this guy. And I don't remember the name of it, but I think it's a Pentel brush pen. One of my favorites. I have a million of them. And then this is a photo of a rose that I took many, many, many years ago, probably in the early 2000s. So this page is in October 8th of 2023. We go on to the next page, a doodle of a color wheel. This started October 9th, ended on the 26th. So I wrote here, this was a long wait to finish. So this whole page took me almost a month, maybe 3 weeks. Today is a good time to take some extra relaxation. That was a little fortune in my fortune cookie. Halloween was approaching. I put Halloween Magic Night. This is a drawing of a clay hand that I made. Again, lots of stickers, doodles. Here a picture of some chili onion crunch that I was loving. On a post-it note, I drew a unicorn. Here, turmeric, ginger, lemon, coconut water. I was making little shots. Lots of dreams. And I drew a little calendar of the month. So again, just lots of doodles. This was a very, this one kept me busy, meaning I probably just had to add something to this spread just so that I could feel relaxed or just to get it out of my system. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it doesn't need to make sense. This started October 26th, and it took me 2 days to do this. Back in the saddle again. That says a lot. I had wanted to start doing more doodles, so I started doodling things that were around me. This was a Christmas ornament I had bought of a paint palette. I doodled that. I had a box of Whoppers. I doodled that. That was a lot of fun. I really love this. I doodled my remote control. This was a leg drawing. Sorry, I got cut off. My camera died on me. So let's go back to this. Okay, so this ended in October, of the 28th of October, and the next page will be that my dad passed away, and so there's a gap of several months. So here, it's now January 18th of 2024. My dad passed at the end of December. It's a new day, and I put the January calendar. I did a lot of doodles. Some old photos. This is a photo of my dad. It's very tiny. Grief, honor and respect and loyalty. I found an old dictionary and I highlighted some words: grief-stricken, grieve, grieving, and I wrote moving on with a little arrow. So it started on January 18th and it ended February 3rd. So this was several weeks of working through that. And this was very fresh. This photo I took in LA many, many years ago. And I added all these collage elements to it. Love and Dreams, my little sacred heart that I love to draw. So now we're on the next day, February 3rd, still working through the grief. This was probably the most I tried to work out my grief. There's a lot of numbers in here that you'll see. This is a photo of my grandfather. The word tears. I need to start somewhere. This side of the veil. You are made of magic. The dash in between, meaning the dash in between our birthday and our end date. Flowers that are growing. Again, lots of numbers that have significance to me. Yeah, this page, and here are the tears. This page was very much needed and very, very therapeutic. I don't know where the end date for me of when I finished this one. Oh, February 3rd to February 18th. So that took me a couple of weeks to work on. And I just keep my book out and then I'll come back to it. I'll leave it open. I'll leave my materials out and then I just work on it when I can. So this is a very special page to me. And I have a memory of where I was sitting, what I was doing, how I was feeling. I didn't need to journal about it. This was the process of getting through it, and it was incredibly helpful. It only means something to me. It doesn't make sense to anybody else. This I did a whole video on YouTube. You can find me working on this page. I don't know if I finish it on YouTube where it looks like this. My dad owned a dental business, and so I found these vintage dental ads, and I thought this was perfect. I also had a vintage photo of somebody who I don't know who it is, and I altered it, and it just kind of reminds me of my mom, and she loved to blow bubble gum. The word teeth. He loved old photos. He loved going through the photos of the family. He always wanted us to get together and look at photos together. The pleasures of photography. So he was just a real sensitive guy. This date doesn't mean anything. It says October 11th, 1948. That has nothing to do with his, birthday or anything. But this always kind of makes me sad. Before I left to New York, which I did leave in December to go visit my daughters for the holidays, he wasn't doing well, and he asked me, "Where are you going?" And I told him, and then he said, "Well, when will you be back?" So it's almost like he knew. He was asking, how long do I have to hold on for before you get back? Because he wanted all of his kids with him. And I made it. I made it back. So this started, so I think this, let's see, let's go back a couple pages. Oh, okay. So let me show you how far in between pages I go, or in between calendar dates. February 3rd, and it ended on February 18th. And then this one starts on February 25th. I started it and ended it on February 25th of 2024. Then we jump all the way to July of 2024. So that's many months. And I was healing. So here it says, healing the heart takes time. One day it will all feel better. So ironic how I didn't realize that grief and loss were affecting my health. I'm in the medical field. I love to study health. And yes, grief can absolutely cause so much stress that it will affect your health. If I can say one thing is to learn how to cope every single day. Learn how to reset your nervous system. Learn how to use techniques every moment of every day if you're dealing with grief or stress, because it will affect your health. As I was going through the stress of taking care of my loved ones, I ended up getting super, super sick, like really, really sick, and almost died. And now that I understand that, I hope to never let that happen again. Sometimes it's inevitable. We don't know how to cope. Sometimes things are too overwhelming and we just cannot learn, we just can't avoid the stress of what grieving and stress does to us. We can't avoid the outcome. But to be aware and to learn coping skills is incredibly important. This, creating a journal and using it as therapy, absolutely 100% is helpful. It may not fix everything, but it's absolutely helpful. Love Will Return. I had drawn this many, many, many years ago, early 2000s. Found it. I felt it worked right in this page. This is a bird. Another doodle I've done. Another heart doodle. Intertwining light and dark. A paint haul swatch. Again, when I'm stressed, I will go to the art store and maybe just buy a few new colors of paint or colored pencils. And I love to swatch. One of my favorite things. So July 13th is where we are on this. We're almost done. It's all getting easier. Good things are ahead. Health, vision, debt-free, forever home, freedom, travel. He had to step down. What was good? Everything. Art, life. So this is starting to look a little bit more hopeful and a little bit more healing. I don't know what date this was. Oh, July 13th, so that was still in July. Art era. I finally was feeling like I wanted to get back into truly creating for myself, you know, the good feelings that I had. On the next day, she started front facing the sun. I knew that I needed vitamin D because I was inside too much, so every morning I would start going outside and I would sit in the sun for even 5 minutes in the morning before work. And I knew I needed vitamin D. I was in my art era. She seemed to think everybody knew about him. That was probably about my dad. You know, when you come across people and they don't know what you've gone through or what you're feeling. I love to think, and sometimes I think too much, and that's a picture of myself. Feeling free. So now we're in September. Feeling free, sublime. Sometimes I get scared. Again, color swatching. Everything looks happier. Everything looks more beautiful and fun. And I was feeling free. I was starting to feel less stressed. Again, the life of an empath. It's so hard. Next page, started in September of 2024. Proceed with conviction. Only do what your heart tells you to. I think this was when I was deciding I did not want to nurse anymore. I was so tired of being a caregiver. So that's the struggle. I wanted to choose joy. Too many ideas, so little time. Light and dark. Again, just working it out. And I do like to, when you look back at some of these other pages that were so chaotic, like these, and then you look at this, it's just, you can tell where my head was. It's very, very telling, this journal is. This is what I'm working on now. This image, I don't know the artist's name, so I'm going to have to look her up and I'll put it in the description. But one of my daughter's favorite artists to find in New York. You'll often find these random little girlies all over the streets of New York on posts and poles and walls. So I found one on the ground and I had to bring it home. So this is where we are. I also like to keep, well, I don't have any in here, but I usually like to keep, some images in my book that I think I want to work with. So those are a couple of the images I'm wanting to work with and include in the next few pages. That's a picture of me as a baby. So yeah, if you have any questions about this journal, or if you want to start your own, feel free to place it in the comments below. I would love it if you would follow me. I would love it if you, subscribe to my channel and post a comment and hopefully like it if you did like this. My name is Rosie Posey from the Art Journal Project. You can find me on Instagram at Art Journal Project, here on YouTube, and I also have a website, www.artjournalproject.com. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye-bye.